Okay. Scripting is completely done. Jesus Christ, that took forever. Hey, K9, alarmed? Did you finish your portion of the script? What the fuck? Who the hell are you?
I'm the guy that's dealing with alarm right now. He can't come to the phone, so you oughta just not ever contact this number again, or I will turn you into a Teapot if you understand me.
Well, creepy voice said don't contact this number again. I know what... I guess I have his last notes that he posted before he disappeared, but he'd want me to finish the video. He wouldn't want me to go on some blazing rescue mission and save him from whatever's going on. No, he would want me to prioritize the YouTube video. I've got to do it. I've got to ignore all of these warning signs, and I've got to do it for him. For alarmed. For alarmed K9.
Hey there, gorgeous. Hope you are doing absolutely fantastic. About to crack open an Arizona tea real quick. Hashtag not a sponsor. Oh yeah. Here is my forever late Game of the Year video. Originally, I was planning on having a cameo from my good lad, Alarmed K9, who was going to co-host this one, but he seems to be very busy, so, no cameos for this video, just good old me and good old you. There will be 0 surprise cameos, yup, none. Anyhow, this video is going to be split in sections. First will be the games I didn't get to, but heard they were good. Next will be our top honorable mentions, games that were good and that we managed to get to play, but are not the top 3, the top dogs. And then, if you stick around after the show, we will do a goofy category, something like worst 3 games of the year or something like that. So if you're interested in that, that'll be at the very, very end of the video. Alright, let's hop into it. Gonna rapid fire these first games real quick, these being the ones that I didn't get to play, but probably would have made it somewhere on this list if I had played them. First up is Stray, Horizon Forbidden West, Sifu, Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Plague Tale Requiem, Cult the Lamb, and Rollerdrome. I've heard these are fantastic. They were on my list to play, but I just never got to them. If any of them do look interesting to you, I recommend giving them a look, because plenty of reputable sources adored them. Now let's get started on these honorable mentions. First on our list today is Warhammer 3. I don't buy a lot of games just off rip, like right when they release, but this was one of the few this year. While when it launched, Warhammer 3 was amuck with bugs and performance issues, it definitely managed to reach a much more playable and enjoyable state after it's had some time to simmer, as tends to be the vibes with Warhammer games, to be entirely honest. Warhammer 3 is a turn-based Civilization-style game with excellent Total War RTS gameplay in place of Civ's roll-of-the-dice style of resolving warfare. This allows you to actually feel like a militaristic tactician, which is perfect for a Warhammer setting, and it's something that the Total War games in general just do very well. My main complaints for this one is that it just doesn't run great on a system with minimum requirements, which is definitely not me. I have a great computer. Only other major problem being a crashing bug, but that's temporary, so I try not to bring those types of things into my problems with the game too much. But it's worth keeping in mind that the just stability of the game is still a little rough, but it's definitely gotten a lot better since release date. I personally didn't experience any crashes on my mediocre laptop, but plenty of other people did, so do keep that in mind. And now with the release of Immortal Empires, Warriors, which is a massive goddamn update release to all players for free. I've heard some people complain that in order to use older factions from previous games, you have to own the other games and its factions. And while I agree that that's a tad scummy, they just didn't have to make Immortal Empires at all. If it was a paid DLC, I'd agree a lot more, but it being free just says more that it's an addition for its longtime fans. It's more of just extra content for those people that have stuck with the series for a long time. Not to mention, for everybody, it just adds this fucking massive map. Now let's add a dash of 8-player multiplayer, and you've got yourself a fantastic grand strategy game. As mentioned, it doesn't run great on my dinky old laptop, so I definitely recommend looking into the recommended requirements for your system before getting this one. So in short, it's a great game, especially fantastic with friends, even with its flaws. Alright, next up is Potionomics. I fucking love this game. Potionomics is a dating sim that heavily involves playing the economic field of potion making, hence the name. You hire adventurers to gather ingredients, you haggle with customers in an incredibly fun card game minigame that can increase or decrease the value of the potion depending on how well you haggle. You earn cards in the game by befriending people, each heart milestone with each character earning you a new card. And each character you can befriend or romance has a playstyle that you can either fully embrace or weave into your haggling deck. But best of all, there is an intriguing mystery surrounding this island and the disappearance of your uncle that is very interesting and wrapped up pretty well. Altogether, the systems and mechanics of Potionomics stand atop each other to make an incredibly well-built game that both looks and plays fantastically. Not to mention, just look at this art style, it's fucking adorable. If you'd like to see more content on this game, I made a video dedicated to the game, which you can find in the top right corner right around now if you're looking for a more in-depth explanation. Anyhow, I strongly recommend Potionomics and you should play it. But now we're going to talk about the Lovecraftian horror boomer shooter, Forgive Me, Father. In the realm of boomer shooters, we find ourselves in a Lovecraftian-inspired world of nightmares by the name of Forgive Me, Father. An almost entirely hand-drawn game, it's one of the most charming entries out of the last year. The hand-drawn nature only adds to its alluring presentation, as well as its overall creepy vibe. Nothing like blowing the legs off of a concerningly thin and bald man just for him to continue crawling at you, entrails trailing behind him, and trailing. Shut the fuck up, Sam. The enemies are also designed incredibly well, each offering a new horror as well as an entirely new challenge. There's even explosive barrel mimics. They got their cube all over me, and it hurts. Plot-wise, the game is relatively average, interesting enough that it ties the gameplay together, which is its job in this game. Doesn't really do much beyond that. It's not gonna blow your mind. There's also a really great level up system that allows you to fundamentally change your guns' looks while making them deadly as hell. Altogether, Forgive Me, Father is an intriguing world with excellent art to back it up, superb boomer shooting, and more guns than could possibly be required for one game, and a sword that you slice and dice with. I loved it. As a big Lovecraftian nerd, this game was awesome to me, and I highly recommend it. Alright, next up, new tales from the Borderlands. Okay, so this one had a bit of a mixed reception. While I do think that this game definitely has its major flaws, including but not limited to some boring characters, messy plot, and altogether average gameplay, and god damn, this one had a phenomenal predecessor it was trying to outshine. It did not. While the original Tales from the Borderlands is vastly superior to this fresher take, I still found myself enjoying my time with this new adventure into the Borderlands universe. As I am a big Borderlands fan in general, this has extra points to begin with, but I can say with complete confidence that this game holds that Borderlands vibe very well, and some of the new characters will likely be beloved, not unlike the likes of Reese and that robot mech boy. Bless his heart. And it sure as hell has better writing than Borderlands 3. Altogether, while nothing groundbreaking, New Tales from the Borderlands is more Borderlands, for better or worse. Now let's Talk about the most ridiculous dating sim I've ever played. Hooked on You is a dating simulator based on the massively popular multiplayer horror game Dead by Daylight. In Hooked on You, you play as yourself, and you are stuck on the vacation island of the killers from Dead by Daylight, which is the most ridiculously ingenious game idea I have ever heard. And the best part is that this game is actually really good. The characters are well written and charming in their own ways, each fabulously horrible, and you're never really sure if you're going to get killed or kissed. Altogether, if you enjoy romance sims, this is a good one, and it's goddamn hilarious, and holy shit, is it a ride. But not as good of a ride as Trapper. Let's go! Now for my likely most controversial pick, Elden Ring. Yes, that's correct. Elden Ring is not in my top 3, but don't harm me just yet. Allow me to explain myself. Now, while I enjoyed my time with Elden Ring, and there is absolutely no doubt that this game was masterfully crafted, with the art design being absolutely superb and its world being so deliciously fleshed out that I couldn't stop drooling, it's great, but I don't like Souls-likes. They feel clunky to me. I don't feel like the game is responsive whenever I play them, and they only manage to frustrate me. I can hear you typing "get good" down there. I don't think I don't. Shut the fuck up. So while I think Elden Ring 100% deserves all the praise it gets, it just quite frankly isn't for me, which is why I don't have it in my top 3. Now, it is definitely the Souls-like I've enjoyed the most, which is impressive. Other than Dark Souls 1, this is the Souls-like I have the most time in. So truly, if you haven't played Elden Ring, it is genuinely the very best of what Souls-likes have to offer. But I don't like Souls-likes, so that doesn't really mean much to me. Now that I'm likely being bullied, let's talk about something a little more cheery. LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Now for some backstory for your favorite paper bag. That's me. When I was but a small little dumbass baby boy, I wasn't allowed to play LEGO games for a period because they were too violent, according to my blessed parents. So by the time I was able to play the complete saga, I still enjoyed it, yes, but I wasn't as into it as I would have been if I'd gotten into it earlier. Now, as an adult, it's been wonderful for me to return to the LEGO Star Wars games, this complete reimagining of the TT games formula. This has just enough depth to keep me interested in it, and the fact that I'm revisiting a franchise that I loved as a kid has been wonderful, especially with how that goddamn franchise has been doing of late. Thanks, Disney. In my humble opinion, this game takes everything that the original complete saga succeeded with and improved upon it. This is the definitive way to revisit the Star Wars movies in digitized plastic people form, of course. Although custom minifigures are still missing, and that makes me want to sob. And does anybody remember that RTS game mode from the LEGO Clone Wars game? I have no clue why, but I loved that game mode and I miss it. If they just released that as its own game on its own somewhere, I'd buy it. Anyhow, if you're looking for a fun couch co-op game to enjoy with your kids, siblings, or friends, this one has you covered. It also has some genuinely funny moments that caught me entirely off guard. But don't just hear it from me, allow our good lad RETROLODGE to give you his opinion on this great game.
Sup, Retro here. My favourite game of all time in 2022 has to be LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, because that game has brought me so much fond and great childhood memories from when I used to play it on the PS2, and as well as that, it looks absolutely outstanding and amazing. I can't believe they made a brand new game. I wasn't expecting it, you know, but here we are. We've got LEGO Star Wars on my list here, and I'm proud I've put this in this voiceover because that's the best game I ever played in 2022 at least. Any other game I played is either boring or it's oversaturated with free items to get you in and grab your attention. And before I end off here, I want to thank Nimble Monster for including me in this opportunity to make a brand new review. It's my first time doing a review. And yeah, thanks Nimble.
Thank you so much, Retro. Super happy to have you on this video. Alright, now let's talk about the grim and gritty game, Moonscars. This is an incredibly gorgeous, grim and gritty platformer that plays kind of like Dead Cells, and Dark Souls had a beautiful Bibi. You are Grey Irma, a warrior constructed of clay by this world's deity, the Sculptor. You awaken with no memories in this dark and desolate place, and you set out to find the Sculptor to just maybe find some answers as to what the hell is going on. What initially drew me to this title, other than that incredibly intriguing premise, is its phenomenal pixel art and animations. Each hit feels incredibly powerful. You can feel the weight behind every swing as you rip chunks of flesh out of your enemies with your massive anime-style blade. In general, Moonscars is absolutely dripping with style. It knows how it wants to look and feel, and it absolutely nails it. If you enjoy platformers, I can't recommend this game enough. It is a fucking blast. But now we're going to be talking about Citizen Sleeper. So I actually knew about this game for a while before it was released, and that's only because I'm an incredibly big fan of the artist. If you're as big of a graphic novel nerd as I am, you've probably heard of Grocery Gang, or my favorite of his, PTSD. He has such a unique art style, meshed with an insane amount of detail in his environmental works that I wish I could pull off. And while I could talk about his heart until I die, and maybe I will one day, but that most likely isn't what you're here to hear me talk about. But you should go read PTSD. It's really good and very pretty. Regardless, Citizen Sleeper is a really good game as well. You live in the ruins of interplanetary capitalism, living the life of an escaped worker who's found themselves on a lawless space station on the edge of the known galaxy. You must choose your friends and by extension, your future. In their Steam bio, they state that the game is inspired by the flexibility and freedom of TTRPGs, which, as a concept alone, had me very intrigued on top of Singleton being attached. I really hope I said that right. His name is hard for my American tongue to pronounce. All in all, if you love RPGs with a lot of freedom and you don't mind reading, this game is quite good, and I recommend it. But now we're going to be talking about Metal Hellsinger. Hell. Yeah, that's the simplest possible explanation of what it feels like to play this game. While I'm not somebody who's super into metal music, I can definitely appreciate some solid metal for sure. And the music in this game is fucking good metal. So how do you take phenomenal music and make it even better? You take the vibe of the music, take its energy, and transform that into head-splitting, spine-crumbling gameplay that makes you feel like you're harnessing its devilish music into pure destruction. So what is the story of this game? You are a she-devil known only, and ironically, as the Unknown. Her goal is to break free of her prison in the Hells and reclaim her voice from the ruler of Hell, the Red Judge. Pretty metal premise, eh? Now, in terms of gameplay, this is a rhythm game mixed with Doom. You unlock different weapons that interact with the music differently. Shooting in between the beats of the music deals significantly less damage and sounds goofy, whereas landing combos that sync with the music deal monstrous amounts of damage and just sound badass. The gameplay is fast-paced, intense, and makes you feel like you are not good at holding a beat and probably could use a metronome. All in all, if you love metal, this game will give you the giggles. If you don't necessarily care for metal, you will after you finish this game. Anyhow, next up we have Warhammer 40k Darktide. I was incredibly excited for Warhammer 40k Darktide. I released 2 separate videos talking about it before it was officially released. It was easily my most anticipated game for 2022, as I've been a massive fan of Fashark's work since the first Vermintide. Hell, I pre-ordered the Imperial edition of Darktide, and I can say that I don't really regret it. I love Darktide. Its gameplay is brutal and satisfying. Its world building and attention to detail is oppressively phenomenal. But I do have some hang-ups for this one that I have to bring up before you get your hands on this bad boy. The crafting system is still incomplete. There are still a myriad of bugs, and the monetary system has left a bad taste in my mouth and many other players' mouths. That was a weird sentence to say. Now, other than that, there are 4 incredibly fun and unique classes that can be tuned to your playstyle with feats that you unlock every 5 or so levels, a massive range of weaponry to toy around with and get addicted to, and some incredibly fun and engaging missions to play through. Darktide is incredibly fun. It feels better than Vermintide does and is a clear progression from the games before it. But while the missions in the game are fantastic, there is a lack of variety. And while the weapons are also fantastic, you have to wait for them to show up in a randomized shop that refreshes every hour. This game has so much good, and I want nothing more than to recommend it to you with 2 thumbs up. And I do recommend it to you, but there are some heavy caveats that need to be understood before you purchase this. I don't want you to buy this and be disappointed, you know? I recommend looking into this game some more and keeping its many issues in mind. I'm certain this game will be everything that I hoped it would be in about a year or so. That's kind of how it was with Vermintide 2 after all. But we shouldn't have to pay to sit in a game that should be in early access. It quite frankly just needed more time in the oven, and the updates currently are not coming fast enough. I love Darktide, but I'm not certain you will. Although, now we're going to talk about Dying Light 2. I was a fan of Dying Light 1. I wasn't obsessed with it or anything. I wasn't really a big fan, but I was a fan. It was pretty much everything you could ask for from a parkour zombie survival game. Now, when Dying Light 2 was revealed, I was pretty damn hyped for it. It looked like Dying Light 1, but with a coat of paint that was much more my style. I mean, I love dreary settings as much as the next guy, but Dying Light 1 had such a monotone palette of colors, it was a little too depressing sometimes. But Dying Light 2, that shit had splashes of color everywhere, and I dug that vibe. Dying Light 2 is quite literally what its name is. It's Dying Light 1, but more. Hell, if you hadn't told me that Crane isn't the protagonist in Dying Light 2, I would not have known. They sound and act almost identical as protagonists, and that is by far this game's main fault. It's shitty writing, but it is still a damn good time to kick zombies off of skyscrapers and watch them go splat. I should call my therapist. So, altogether, if you enjoy the Dying Light combat, or you just love the premise of a parkour zombie survival game, this bad boy has got you covered, Ansem. There's not really much more to it. So, let's talk Teardown. After being in early access for an extended period of time, we were finally treated to the full release of the beloved game, Teardown. This full release bringing what we already loved about the game, its complete environmental destructibility and surprisingly gorgeous graphics, and the tools to commit this mayhem in many various ways to entirely new heights. With a now complete campaign, new tools, and of course, death bots. So now on top of destroying buildings, you get to destroy actual entities as well, adding an entire new layer to the game, and truly, I recommend you give this one a try. It's one of the best destruction sandboxes out there. Also, the mods are fucking wild. So the replayability is absolutely never ending. But enough about Teardown. Now we're going to talk about Ghost Song. Ghost Song is a gorgeous platformer developed by one comic book artist. You heard that right. An incredibly talented artist looked around and was like, time to make a game. And made it. And the best part is, it's really fucking good. It blends Metroid-style gameplay with classic platforming combat, almost reminding me of something like Dead Cells, just minus the roguelike part. In terms of plot, Ghost Song's story of self-discovery, paired with this dreary style of gameplay, makes for a very intriguing and intense game that is hard to stop playing. If you yourself have ever struggled with self-discovery, as many of us humans do, you will likely find Ghost Song's story to be very touching, on top of its fun gameplay. Altogether, Ghost Song is a beautifully somber game with great gameplay and even greater art. But let's hop over to an even more dreary setting. It's another Warhammer 40k game. I know, a lot of Warhammer in this one. They had a big year. Warhammer 40k Daemonhunters? Daemonhunters? I'm saying Daemonhunters from now on, alright? While Daemonhunters had an arguably mixed reception, I personally found it to do everything I could have possibly wanted from a Warhammer 40k XCOM style game. So for those of you that love my coverage of XCOM-like games on this channel, you've probably heard me talk about this one. It's brutal, gutsy and gory with gusto. And while it doesn't pull punches with the difficulty, it manages that feeling that, yeah, you did somehow not get your team wiped on that last mission, and luck probably did have something to do with it. While the plot and such is definitely hit or miss and can be pretty heavy when it comes to exposition, that's what the skip button is for. And if you are not a Warhammer fan and just want a more brutal XCOM in terms of combat and difficulty, you will not find the story the most accessible. But luckily the gameplay is good and fun enough that I think it's worth playing for that alone, even if you aren't really ingrained into the Warhammer 40k lore. Think Gears Tactics, but with more depth in terms of gameplay. All in all, while Daemonhunters is an incredibly fun time for those who are and aren't fans of Warhammer 40k, and definitely a good time for those who enjoy XCOM style games. Alright, that was 10 games of 2022 that I personally think are worth your time. Honorable mentions, if you will. But now let's hear from some other YouTubers who have honorable mentions of their own. First up, Gentleman Gaming. He does long form gameplay videos if you're looking for some chill vibes, but today he's giving you a nice quick review. Go for it, Gent.
Hey guys, my name is Gentleman. Nice to meet you. Great to be here. You don't know how long I've been waiting for an opportunity like this to collab with someone. So here it is, guys. I've been waiting it for a long time, and yeah, I've been waiting since I've reached 200 subscribers as well over on my channel. So here's my time to shine, giving you guys and gamers my game of the year. My top game of last year is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, I have a lot to say about it, but what I can say about it is that it has great graphics and a great story. It even lives up to this year, 2023. I enjoyed it a lot from start to finish. I'm even doing a let's play of it, guys, on my channel. If you guys won't mind checking it out, I'll appreciate it a ton. But that's all from me. I'll catch you guys around. If you like action FPS shooters like me, then this game here is a great game for you. That's all from me, Gentleman Gaming. Now time for the next person to reveal their game of the year. I wish you luck, buddy.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jen. Highly recommend you guys check out his Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 series on YouTube if you'd like to see some gameplay of it as well. He also asked that I shout out his good friend Scottish Bandit, links in the description. Next up is my good friend SCARABIC Enterprises. Take it away, Scarab.
No. Stop. Hang on a second there. Okay? I strongly disagree. I am Scarab of SCARABIC Enterprises, and I refuse to allow anyone or anything or any game to take away Game of the Year from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. As a 90s kid, TMNT 4, Turtles in Time, has always been my favorite game. Everything from the art style to the epic couch co-op kept me captivated. Everyone had a favorite turtle and they all had their unique play styles. So you would have people fighting over who they're going to be, and sometimes you would have to fight between Raph, Michelangelo, Donatello, or Leonardo. The 4 turtles. Yes, that is right. The 4 turtles that are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And in some games you can play as Master Splinter, which was really cool, but that was not Turtles in Time. Though, Tribute Games did a wonderful job recreating that experience. They took what was amazing about the classics and dialed it up to 11, without blatantly disregarding the source material, which is fantastic considering that most recreations or remakes just end up dying really badly. Oh my god, there's so much happening on screen right now. They added features and modes, trials and challenges, new unlockable characters, and it just all feels really, really good. They kept the gameplay smooth while maintaining that nostalgic feel of the Turtles in Time, which is just fantastic. Shredder's Revenge is a very, very good game, hence my argument. It's good to see the return of my favorite button-mashing genre, beat-em-ups, isn't dead, is no longer a thing of the past. Honestly, now it's a coin toss between whether Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, or Shredder's Revenge is the better game. And I think the reason for that is mainly because nowadays we have the technology to make things a lot bigger. Like back in the arcade days of Turtles in Time, they could only fit a certain amount onto the card. Hence why console versions of like old school Sega games and stuff were a little less in depth than the arcade versions, because the arcades had more memory. They had more storage for more sprites and everything. It was a lot smoother. And there was only one difficulty mode, and that was pretty much hard. But nowadays, we have the technology to make games a little bit grander in scope, and I think that what they've done here is doing precisely that. So I think that for which one is better, Turtles in Time or Shredder's Revenge, I would say that Turtles in Time is a better arcade game and Shredder's Revenge is a better console game. Specifically for the reason that it has so many features, it wouldn't make sense for it to be an arcade game, even though it has an arcade feature. There's a nice change of pace considering that the crimes committed after the 1990s live-action Turtles movie. Like, I mean, Michael Bay is the worst thing that happened to the Turtles. I would rather watch the entirety of the next mutation than watch another one of Michael Bay's regurgitations. Yes, that's right. I said it. I don't want to have that diarrhea spewed into my eyeballs ever again. Back to you, Nimble Monster.
Thank you very much, Scarab, despite your hurtful words at the beginning. I also just wanted to quickly say another thank you to RETROLODGE, another long-form gameplay video content creator who has some good videos on Far Cry 6 and did that extra chunk on the Skywalker Saga section, in case you forgot. Once again, links in the description for all these talented creators. Thank you so much to all of you for joining in for this video. I was incredibly happy to have you guys on. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. My top 3 games of the year. The bronze Nimble goes to
God of War Ragnarok.
Shocking to probably nobody, I had to put God of War Ragnarok on the top 3, or else I'd have committed a capital sin. If you haven't played God of War 2018, which is, first off, what is wrong with you? Otherwise, you pretty much know what to expect with this one. It's quite literally just more. If you were one of those psychos that was anti-God of War 2018, then obviously, it's just another reminder to stay away from this one. But for those of us that appreciate art, this next addition to Kratos' story is fantastic. The story continues at that same level of narrative quality. The gameplay mechanics and functions are improved and expanded versions of what we got in 2018's God of War, and the variety of mini-bosses and enemy types have been expanded and improved. This really does just feel like they tightened the screw on the game design of the first, but more than anything, you're here for that story, and it does a very damn good job. Not to mention the voice acting continues to blow my mind and make me appreciate the art form that it is. I really don't have much more to say that wouldn't spoil story beats, but just know that it's fantastic, it's moving, and it's got one hell of a twist at the end. I even have some notes here from our beloved Alarmed Canine, who played the game and left us these notes before he sadly went missing. Playtime is 40 hours long, but only 20 if you blitz the story. Side quests are fun, and they expand the characters where it's not needed, and they do it well. More variety with bosses, and it shows from the beginning. Very fluent battle mechanics, more combos and skills, and it's just a beautiful game. Sadly, whatever else he had to say about God of War Ragnarok has been lost to time. We'll find. Alright, let's talk about that second place. Bada bing, bada boom, the silver Nimble goes to Chained Echoes, a truly classic RPG that streamlines the classic formula, cutting off some of the fat and leaving us with a more trimmed and satisfying product. A typical run of Chained Echoes will run you about 30 or so hours, maybe 40 if you chase down those side quests. The strongest aspects of Chained Echoes is easily its overarching story and world. You watch as this universe experiences the rise of technology while magic slowly weakens and is going out of style. This game manages to capture that changing of time just so very well. And if you'd rather explore this world in its entirety before you fight the final boss, you can even just avoid that final fight and just completely explore to your heart's content. The entire game just opens up to you. So while the game drags a little bit at the beginning as it introduces the world and characters around you, don't lose heart, as the game is going to pick up pace fast, and it absolutely will not let go. Assuming you like JRPGs, that is. And in terms of combat, it's a well-balanced and fun turn-based side view combat. It doesn't blow your mind or anything. If you've played an RPG, you know what I'm talking about. But it's done competently and well. Altogether, the main joy I gained from playing Chained Echoes was experiencing its world and rich history. While the characters didn't capture me as much as some RPGs do, its incredibly well-designed world did a fantastic job in keeping me interested. If you are an RPG fan in general, you would be remiss to not give this game a shot. So don't miss it. Hell, it's on Game Pass. Go play it. Anyhow, time for the moment you've all been waiting for. You're probably like, man's already talked about Ragnarok and Elden Ring. What's his game of the year going to be? Well, it's time for the Gold Nimble, the most powerful of Nimbles. The MacGuffin of Nimbles goes to... I was a teenage exo-colonist. Easily, absolutely fucking easily my favorite game of 2022. It wasn't even a contest for me. It's very rare for a game to just absolutely steal me away. It gave me that feeling that has become too rare as of late. I feel like I don't get whisked away anymore, unlike when I was a kid, when I was addicted to reading. Lord of the Rings, The Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, all of these books managed to rip me from my mundane daily life and pulled me into an intense and exciting world that I somehow felt a part of. But there were two book series that stole me the best. Two series that caused me to lay on my bed, imagining how my life would be in that world, the things I would do, the people I would meet. This was the Leviathan series by Scott Westerfield and the graphic novel series Amulet by Kazu Kibushi. They convinced my little brain that this massive, beautiful world was there, just beyond my reach. It existed in this strange liminal space between reality and fiction in my young middle school brain. So when I tell you that I was a teenage exocolonist did that for me, you must understand just why this is at the very top of my list. As nerdy and dorky as that spiel was, I genuinely feel as though Teenage Exocolonist manages to steal me away again, which is a very special feeling that only seems to drift farther away, a sentiment that only becomes rarer, and it's a sentiment that I don't think video games have really managed to pull off for me, ironically, since most of them are just interactive books. The closest I got was with the Guardians of the Galaxy game from 2021, which was my top game on the last Game of the Year video. So after I've pulled you into my brain a bit more than is probably comfortable, allow me to actually tell you what the fuck this game is about. You are, unshockingly, a teenage exocolonist traveling to a distant world, and you start the game as a child at the age of 10, and as you can imagine, the grown-ups don't entirely tell you much, so you don't really know why you were headed to this planet in the middle of nowhere, as most of you youngins were born on this spaceship to begin with. The ship crashes to the planet, leaving a lot of the kids rattled as well as some of the parents. But your parents, Flulu and Geranium, take charge, beginning the planting of a new farm. Walls are erected, and slowly but surely, this makeshift base of operations becomes a home. You spend your days meeting the other characters, hanging out with your favorites, learning, and altogether just building an incredible life in this alien world. It's about you blazing a trail into this entirely new place. And what really brings this feeling together is just how fucking gorgeous the art is. The pastel colors and watercolor textures bringing everything together in something entirely beautifully unique. And what really addicts you to this game is definitely the other characters. They are beautifully written and all entirely unique, beautiful. They feel so goddamn real, it's almost terrifying. And the replayability is 110% here, as befriending everybody in one playthrough is genuinely impossible. In the best way, you just don't have the time to invest in everybody, just like in real life. Hence why clicks exist, so. My first playthrough, I befriended Anemone, and eventually, as we grew up, she ended up becoming somebody that my character could not relate to anymore. And that's when the game gut punched me with our friendship just slowly falling apart, which is not a scripted event. It by no means was something that I couldn't avoid, but other choices I'd made in the past came back to haunt me. I won't spoil the details of any of that, obviously, but I just want to articulate how tight-knit this game feels. And don't you worry, there are plenty of wrenches it throws into the main plot, and there is one big part of this game that makes it perfect, and I can't fucking talk about it. It makes this game the most unique relationship sim I have ever played, and if I tell you about it, it would genuinely ruin your first playthrough. So play it, or if you want, you can go look more into it if you really want those spoilers, but you're not gonna find them here. I strongly recommend that you go play it first. Your first playthrough, the story will probably take you around 8 to 10 hours, but that's really just the prologue. I'm serious. Go play it. I've already said too much. Anyhow, that's my absolute favorite game from 2022, and you should play it. So you've stuck around. Since you're still here, let me give you the 3 worst games of the year. First up is Diablo Immortal, my bad. This game was well made, but so chock full of gross microtransactions and scummy business practices that it's virtually unplayable without forking over some cash. Second, Babylon's Fall, a game developed by a beloved studio, brought to ruin by its lack of content and overall shitty gameplay. It literally got the plug pulled on its servers in the first year of its release. That's rough, buddy. Making history in the worst ways possible. And the officially worst game of the year is the Saints Row remake. Nothing is more depressing than taking a beloved IP, misunderstanding it entirely, and then also releasing just a bad GTA knockoff as a result. And goddamn, that dialogue was bad. Anyways, that's the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, I suppose. Have a good day, and don't die, bitch.